Hi. Thank you for the invite back. It's nice to see a lot of familiar faces. And it's super nice to meet those of you that I have not met before. So I'm Jaime Weatherby. I own Weatherby Media. We're a digital marketing company. So we do outsourced digital marketing. We do things like branding and logo work, website design. We do blog post writing, email marketing, Facebook ads, kind of all the ongoing marketing pieces. We do that as outsourced. We also have setup and coaching packages that are pretty helpful for newer entrepreneurs. So we hit on a lot of different bases, and we live and breathe Canva all day, every day. One of the things as we work with a lot of female business owners, but I think this is true for everybody, but I feel really strongly about this, especially for our female business owners. We really feel we build all of our stuff in a way that people are able to have ownership over their own marketing. I can't tell you just on a personal note how many people come to us and they're like, my web designer just ghosted me and now I don't even know how to change my website or get access to it. Or, somebody built all this stuff for me, but I don't know how to use it. So anytime I want to make a change, I have to go in there and ask them. So we really deliberately build on platforms and do a lot of support with our clients to be able to make sure that they have ownership over their marketing and over their business presence. That's really a foundational important value of mine and Weatherby Media. So with that, we do a ton of stuff in Canva because it is meant to be a design software for non-designers, but that does not mean that it's not overwhelming and that there's a lot to it. So I'm excited you're here. We're going to cover things from the basics. So I'm going to start there. And then we are going to dig into some of the more fun and nuanced things that it does. And then I did my best to cover all the pieces of the puzzle, but it's a fun beast, but it is a beast, as Britta said. So if there's anything specifically that I didn't cover, I'm hoping to have time at the end, and feel free to ask. We can just play around with it. So with that, I do have a slide deck that is more or less going to just keep me checking all the boxes and the things that I want to mention. But I'm not in presenter mode because we're going to be in Canva messing around. So bear with me on that. So basically, here we are, become a Canva Pro, basic and advanced tips for using Canva. The first thing I want to just touch on is Canva Free versus Canva Pro. I feel I'm madly in love with Canva Pro over Canva Free. The reason for it is because honestly, it's really not that much money if you pay for it upfront. I believe it works out to be $9.99 a month. If you pay for it monthly, it's $12.99. So it's not a huge subscription. If you are a nonprofit, Britta was just mentioning to me, you actually can get it Canva Pro for free, which is amazing. But if you're not, it's really worth the investment. So here's a couple of the core things that change the game between free versus pro. And what I want to mention is I do have a pro account. So a lot of the things that I'm going to be showing you are accessible via the pro account. The other thing is, I think a lot of the questions some of you had for challenges that kind of came through before this presentation would be solved with a pro account. So I just want you to know that's the kind of platform I'm playing around in, so that if you have a free account, you go in and go, I don't have that option. Then you might be like, wow, this thing's cool, this thing was cool, this thing was cool. It might be worth investing in the paid version. So things that are really important about the pro, the amount of stock photos in pro is unbelievable. And honestly, to me, that is worth its weight in gold by itself. Pre-Canva, I don't know if anyone was doing design work before Canva was available, and they're still around, but you can do things like Shutterstock or a bunch of other ways of getting stock photos, but it's so expensive. You're paying the monthly cost for Canva for one photo. So especially when it comes to the volume of photos that people need, it's not really just static photos on your website anymore. It's all the stuff you're using for social media, for email marketing, like the visuals of things have become, you need to have this constant flow of photos to use. So the volume of stock photos, I think, is alone a great reason to get the pro account. There's also, I'm going to show you this, but they give you access to set up a brand kit, which helps you just super quickly build things, save your branding colors, your fonts, and I'll show you how to use that. I love the background remover tool. I found that to be really useful, and you can create some good designs with that. So I'll show you that. And I believe that that's a paid version from one of my research. To be fair, I've been on the paid version since always. So I'm always sometimes not sure exactly what the free, what is on paid versus free. So this is honestly from my research. The magic resize is the most amazing thing ever. So I believe that's a paid version. And templates, I think, are also super helpful. So there's many, the list of differences is very long, but these are the things that I feel like are game changers and really worth the investment. So just throwing that out there before we get started. And then I'm going to just immediately jump in so that we can be playing with this from start to finish. So I'm going to open a new window. Let's start from scratch. Creating a new design. So if you come into Canva, it automatically logs me in just because I was already there. But this is kind of the main Canva homepage. You can start and pick a tools for templates, whatever you want, but my kind of go-to place to start is just this create a design. So if you click create a design, the one thing that's really great is they let you either do custom size or there's tons of different preset sizes of things. So let's grab Instagram just for an example. And then now that I grabbed Instagram, it's going to give me multiple templates that it pre-populates over here. So, but now I'm in a blank slate, like just getting started. And let me see what my train of thought here is. Okay, so I'm going to run through first everything that you're going to see in this left-hand panel. So when you open a design here, it's going to be blank. And then you'll see that you have a ton of options over here. So the first thing that it defaults opens to is templates. I have to say Canva has a ridiculous amount of templates and they're so great. So especially if you feel like you don't have a super eye for design or create like a bunch of creativity where like this blank page intimidates you, then definitely start with a template because truthfully they have so many. It's just amazing. So I'm going to throw a template in here just so that we have something to play around with. But so here's a templated design here. Elena, yep.
Quick, stupid question. When it says Instagram, it just means it's the right size for Instagram. Mm-hmm. It's not automatically dumping it in Instagram. It's just pick the size.
Yes, exactly. Just the size. Yep. You have to really you can actually post right from Canva. I don't usually use that feature, to be honest, but this is right now when you're picking it, it's the dimensions for the platform.
I also want to mention, I have generally, when I'm not doing something in the size of Canva, or sorry, in the size of Instagram, I usually have to redo it because I find Instagram to be, when you're posting through like constant contact or probably even Canva, so if you're doing all of your social media at once, I tend to run into a problem with the ratios for Canva or for Instagram if I don't start in an Instagram size.
If you, for Instagram, if from a social posting perspective, you would be better off starting an Instagram like Britta's describing, and then just either resizing to Facebook, which we do, or you can share your square to Facebook. Like a square on Facebook doesn't look bad. A rectangle on Instagram does. So if you're like, I'm going to pick one size and I'm going to use that one size for all my social media, I would pick the square because then at least it'll look good on Instagram and then it looks fine everywhere else because you don't need like this, like the grid view on Canva, on Pinterest makes such a big difference. But so here again, there's like templates on templates. You can scroll for days here. So, but that's where it's going to first default you to. The next tab over here is elements. There's a lot of different things that you can find in here. What we do, there's things like lines and shapes. You can get graphics. You can get animated things. You can get frames and grids in here, which are really great. What I typically do, if I usually come here for the more or less because I have something in mind. So say I want to do like animated arrow. If I want an animated arrow, I want it to have movement and I want to search for that. I do because there's photos, there's graphics, there's so much in here. I usually start with the search. If I go down the let me just scroll through pages rabbit hole, I usually burn an hour and then don't actually find what I'm looking for. But if I search, then I'm in pretty good shape. So here I'm getting a lot of options. So maybe I want this cute little graphic here to be pointing to the home staging option. So you'll find all of these things here. So if we were adding this element here.
What?
Ooh, perfect. So, and then it'll give you recommendations, which is cool and nice as well. There's so many things like this will let you, if you're looking for static versus animated, you can kind of narrow down your filter. I find the search feature to just be really helpful here. Uploads. This is where you can upload all your any photos. I'll show you some thoughts on organization depending on the bulk of how, like for what we use Canva for our clients, and we have a lot of clients and our own stuff. So we do a lot of organizing our photos and our stuff just because it's the volume of information and the fact that it's all different businesses. If you're just using Canva for yourself, you may not need to like do that much crazy things for organizing. But you'll find all the things that you've uploaded and added in here. So you can download images, you can download videos, you can download audio files, which is super cool. So all your things that are personal to you can get uploaded right here to be used. This is photos, is where I really I'm like, would love for you to have the pro version for the sake of the stock photos. I do, again, this is a rabbit hole and a half. So I do use the search feature all like crazy for that as well. And then text. So again, this is, I'm doing basics to more complex. So if you're like, okay, yeah, I know all these things, I just want to have touched on them, but you can add text here. A lot of these things too, this is where your branding ones can kind of come into play. You can actually pre-populate these, which is great. If you're looking for something fun and creative, you can start with some of these that have a lot of design features that will give you kind of an idea of where you could start if you want something that's not just flat text. But you can add text box here. These are all text boxes. Audio, which is cool. It has a whole bank of audio. So if you're looking to download and publish to Instagram and have audio files, you can download your own audio file here in the upload if you would like, but you can also choose from a whole bunch of stuff here if you're looking to add some audio to your design. And then you'll find over here, these are all not going to show up for you. These are just folders. So like I said, we have a ton of clients and we organize all our stuff into different client folders. So what our team has been recently using is popping up over here for me. Those things won't appear for you just because you don't have those folders. It's just because they're most recently used folders that they're giving us access to. What it does have, I'm sorry, I have a little desk plant that's hiding in the corner of my screen right now. So if there's logos here, which I will show you what this is in the brand kit. So I'll show you what that looks like, but just so you know what's down here, you can pre-populate logos. You can organize all your things into folders. So you'll see we have a ridiculous amount of folders. And then under more, you can get even more stuff. A lot of these are apps and integrations. That's like a whole other down a rabbit hole. I think Canva's got a lot going on already. Truthfully, even as a marketing agency, we haven't really done like a whole lot of apps. The only thing that I think is under here that I wanted to show you mostly is that they do have videos, which I find to be so, so if you wanted to add like a video shot to one of your images, they do have a whole bunch of stock videos as well, which again is why like all these things used to be so expensive. So the fact that you can just, pay 10 or 12 bucks a month and have a whole bank of these is really incredible. So this is the gist of this left-hand piece. Let me check go back to my list here of stuff. So we talked about the templates, elements, okay, down here. So this was like a random feature that I literally was like, I have no idea when I'm going to say this or what it didn't like fit in a flow of anything. So I'll mention it now just so I don't forget about it. But say if you open a folder here, so say you save things into folders. If I decide I want to so over here, I have my presentations folder. Maybe I want this Loonly. So we use it. This is a social media scheduling tool, but maybe I love this design and it's coming from one of my other saved designs. So this is a really ease of use thing. If you want your stuff to look branded. So if you're like, I built a whole suite of templates, I kind of made a design like this before. I don't want to back out of it, restart my design. Like that's a pain. You can actually just pull other designs into your current design. So if you go here, it'll just drop this whole thing right in here. Oh, this is an image. I'm lying to you. Those are images I saved. Just kidding. Let me show you an actual design. I'll do it with the cover of this. So if I click on this presentation, this is the, oh, well, sorry. I'm like jumping around here. I'm getting kicked out of where I'm trying to be. So these, you'll see it says 1 of 10. That's because this particular design, which is the slide deck I'm showing you now, has 10 slides. It'll shuffle it to preview. But if I click on this, it'll show me all 10 designs. And then if I click on one of them, it's going to pop it into the current design I have. If you ever are like, oops, I didn't mean to do what I just did. This is the most frequently used tool in here is the undo button. So definitely need to know that that exists. So I'm gonna undo that because I'm liking this. But if say I can drag in, or I want, well, if I'm right on this, sorry, it's gonna dump it into the current page. If I scroll down, add a page here, now I have a blank one, it's gonna put it here. I think at some point it usually asks you if you want to replace your design or not. But if you add a new page, it'll put it on the new page. So say you were like, you know what, I really want to, I like this look, I like this background. I really just want it to be an Instagram post. So maybe I was doing a post, which I should do this in the future. Would have been a great idea to promote these events that we have. So say I wanted to sneak this as a preview. I can come in here and mess around with the look and feel, but now instead of trying to refine this photo, setting this up again, I can steal it from one of my previous designs to make it faster. And you can find all your previous designs through this folders option. So a random feature, I didn't know where to put that, but so I just wanted to mention it.
Sorry, Jamie, we did have a question. Laura is asking what the best file format download video, audio, images are so they can upload to Instagram and Facebook.
That is a great question.
I think I just jumbled that question.
No, that's okay. So I actually am going to get to downloading all your file choices.
Awesome.
So I will absolutely circle back to that.
Great, thank you.
Yeah.
And then Sue, I see that you also got the Control Z. If you're on a Mac, it's Command Z for undo. But Jamie was also showing you that little backwards arrow up in that tealish toolbar right there.
Here at the top.
So,
yeah, that's how I'm on a Mac. So it's saying to me, do you see how it says up in the corner, command, there's a little command symbol in Z. And so it'll give you where your shortcut is, but then yeah, you can also just click this button. So and then you can redo it if you're like, just kidding. I still like it. Okay, I want to bring it back. So, and then you can do it for multiple times. So I can like undo this all the way back to the very beginning, which is just amazing because I can't tell you how many times I screw things up and it would really be a bummer. I'd like delete the whole thing and you're like, oh my God. Or like when you slide over one of these things and it erases an image that you wanted to have. Like if I wanted to keep this like I did, I just deleted this entirely by dropping my other design in here. But like the undo button's brilliant. So yes, these undo and redo buttons are here for saving you like they saved me. And I promise I'll get to the downloading piece as well. So I think I covered all this. Let's talk about the top menu bar. So this top menu bar, so it looks a little different depending on the thing that you're clicking on, whether it's an image. So the top menu bar is giving you options for the thing that you have highlighted. So it does, you'll notice that it jumps around. So I'm going to talk about some of these things that are foundational that stay here through everything. And then we'll talk about these individual things. So this position, so say I'm clicking right now, I've got this home staging text that I'm holding on to. So this is what you can tell what you're clicked on by the teal box. The position is going to give you, I want forward, backward. This is where it is in relation to the other thing. So say I'm like, I want this to be in the back. If I go backward, I'm like, if you click it backward once, that means another element that isn't actually overlapping with it was technically from a design perspective on top. So if I keep clicking this, now it disappears. So now it's stacking this brownish bar on top of this text. It's like picturing it as like a layer cake and it just switched layers. So if I'm like, oops, too far, now I can move it forward. If I'm like, I put this new image in, let me go back. Where am I?
So if the color bar was transparent, you would see it through it.
Yes, if you could, so now if I go, yes, exactly. So I'll show you exactly that, but that is exactly the case. So basically I can move this all the way to the back in one click. Sorry, I wasn't on it. All the way back in one click, forward one, so you can kind of play with where it is in relation to things. So say I had this up here, and now it's covering that brown bar. So if I want to bring that back, I can go send it all the way to the back, and now it's there. Or you can click backwards until if you're trying to get it somewhere in a middle layer, or forward, either way. I also really like this. So if I go position, you can center things, put things in the middle or at the top. So now I want this to align with the top, align with the bottom, be bottom right, bottom left, and it'll jump. So you don't have to necessarily line things up and play the, like, I'll show you the pink line alignment game. If you've been in here before, you know what I'm talking about. But you can foundationally for some of these places get things. So I want the middle and I want centered, and now it's right back to where it was because it was right dead center. So these are, again, just quick ways to get things kind of where you want them to be. So that's what the position thing does. This painter tool I think is magical, and I love it. Because if you're trying to mess with a design, right? So I say I made this a little bit bigger, or this, I changed fonts to something else. And I'm like, no, that's a little hard to read. I actually don't really like that. Instead of being like, I need to know it's 18.9 here and Lato. If I want this to match, I click this, click the painter tool. So it's similar to Word painter tool, if anyone's used that. If I click on this, it matches the format. That was a new moment for Britta right there. I saw the oh, cool face. I can't, especially when we're trying to do like consistent design work, you shrink, you grow things, you whatever. If you're trying to make sure, again, one of the things that makes things look really professionally done is that consistency and like spacing and edging. And if you were on my team, you would know I'm a stickler for that, because I'm like, I feel like the spacing's a little off, or like this font is a little bit bigger than that font. They're so sick of hearing that from me, but I think that a lot of times that's really that polished look. But so you can just kind of keep stealing this, and you can make it all capital. And then if you're like, that's terrible, you can use this undo button or the painter tool. But the painter tool is really fun. The painter tool, I might be wrong about that, but I actually want to say it works so say I wanted the circle in this band, right? So I just added the circle. I used the painter tool just to swipe the color. So I didn't have to go through like the picking of the color and whatever. But now from a layer perspective, I'm like, okay, this is cute. I like this look with the circle and the band, but I need this to go backward. So but you're not all the way back, right? Because it's going to be behind all the images. You want it behind the text. So I'm going to click backward and then be like, oop, okay, that's too far. So now I need to go to the back on these things, to the back on those things. And now I've got this cute little thing going on. So I love the painter tool. Was the point of this story. This transparency, love this too. This is a lot of fun. So this allows you, so maybe you want to see some of your images coming through. This allows you to mess around with whether you can see the backgrounds or not. This is a thing that we do a lot to make designs look like add a lot more dimension to your designs. You can, if you do this, so I'm gonna delete this. So say I take this image right here. If I slide the transparency, oh, this is the whole thing's an image. If I slide the transparency, it's gonna bring me the background of this design is white. So I'm changing the transparency of the image itself. So there's kind of two ways you can create that look. Say I wanted all transparent here. You can put an overlay on it and then slide the overlay transparency where your images are fully opaque and you get that overlay type look. Or if you can set, if I slide these around, I can click here and I can change the background color. So say I wanted it to be black, and then I'm going to sneak this back over here. And I'm going to bring this back down to be like that band I had before. So we had it covered. But say I wanted these images, now it's black. So if I want these images to be darker, you can make the background black and change the photo transparency. Or you could have chosen to, this is another one I'm about to show you, but you can copy things. I could put this overlay, position it backwards. Oh, wow, forward one more. And then say if I wanted the black overlay, now I can bump my transparency down and get that same look. So you can change the background color and the transparency of the images. You can put an overlay and then do the transparency. Yes.
Amy? Oh, sorry. Yep.
Is there any way to make like a, I don't know, motion or video fade in and out? Like if you come on, it's like your band in the middle and it's all dark and then it fades into the pictures, kind of as an example.
To a degree, and I do go into animation and videos in here in a bit, so I'll show you that. So you can do that to a degree. It's not like a high-end video tool, so you can get some levels of animation, but not necessarily like super crazy with it. And I'll show you what you can do.
And then Ansley had a question. When you're dragging elements or photos to a design, sometimes they lock to fill other parts of the template, like snap to the background, and it's hard to position them. Do you have a quick fix?
Sure do. Absolutely. So let me, oh, here it is. If you click on this, right now these images are added to this frame. If you go, why is that not working? Detach, I wasn't selecting the right thing. I'm holding this image and it says detach image. And if I do that, it kicks it right out and then I can do what I want with it. And then if I wiggle it to over the front, it jumps back in. And then if I want it to look different within there, so say I wanted, well, this image is, but say I just wanted flowers. Now I'm messing with the appearance of just this little box. Once I double click, now I'm messing with it here. But yes, it took me forever to figure that out too. I was like, well, now it jumped in there and I kept adding it and deleting it, adding it, deleting it. And every time it jumped, I was like, oh, but all you have to do is right click and.
Where'd you get the button?
Yep, so if you select it, so you're on this and you right click. So there's a whole suite of service, like menu, other things, copy, paste, whatever, front and back. But you can't, the only one you can get all these other things, other places. This detach image is amazing. So you can do that. You can also, if you, I can replace background. So I can put it, so now if I slide it, you can see it, but I had a bunch of things over the background. So you can now have, oh my gosh, all the things. So now I just replaced the background and now this is the background. But if I want to right click, I can detach the background and now I'm working with it. Yeah, that was a super annoying thing until I figured it out. So I'm glad you asked. So this is, I think I've made my way through here for transparency and some other things, but this hyperlink, you can add links to things. So if you're going to download a PDF and send it electronically, you can link things. If you're going to use it, social media, it's hard to like link the thing and download it as an image. That's not really going to work. It depends on the point of this. A lot of times with these presentations, I'll link things because I know I'm sending the presentation electronically and the link says hyperlinked. So really it depends on how you're intending to use this. And there's a lot of reasons why the links are amazing. And there's a lot of reasons why you're like, if downloading a JPEG, like a link's not going to help me. So totally depends on what you're trying to do here, whether that's helpful. I love this lock feature. So the lock feature means that you can move some things and not others. Let me see if I can come up with a quick example of, okay, let me add, so I'm gonna add a page from, okay, let's go from this design. So here's a design that we've created from one of our social media workbooks. These things move around. And sometimes you're like clicking them. And if you don't want things to move, but you want to be able to grab and drop other stuff, it's really easy sometimes to grab your background image or grab images that you don't want. So a lot of times what I do is I'll get this where I want to get it so I can see the little squiggles. And then I'll click this and then I click the lock button. Now I can do whatever with everything on top of it and that thing stays in place. It helps a lot with being like, okay, I want like this thing to work like I just don't want this piece to move, but I'm trying to move a lot of specific things on top. So I find that super helpful. Just sometimes if you do that and I go and you're like, why is this not working? I can't make this do the thing I want to do. Sometimes I forget I lock something and then it doesn't let you change it. So just remember, if you lock it, it does its job very well and you can't unlock it unless you click the little unlock button. So now that I've unlocked it, it's now can move. And let me think of where I was saying, I don't know where I'm going to say this, but if you notice, you probably saw me just do this, but one of the things, I'm going to lock this really quick. There's a couple ways where you can group things, move things as a unit. One thing you can do, which is one of the things I use this feature a lot, and I love the lock tool for this reason. If you drag your mouse, every element that your mouse hits is going to become a group. So there's a bunch of stuff going on here. Clearly there's like a whole bunch of images. If I click this now, that's what I was just showing you. I'm moving this whole thing like it's one unit. As soon as I release my mouse, so I'm holding my mouse button down. If I release it, it's still one unit. If I click off, now it's back to being individual units. But you can do this a lot of different ways. If you click this and say, maybe I just want like this text in this, my logo. If I click this, one of them, and hit my shift button, I can now move these two, and it does the same kind of concept. But I do a lot of this click and drag to catch the whole thing. But if I do that and I don't have this locked, now if I click and drag, it's taking the whole thing. Well, I missed it here. Or did I just lock? No, I didn't. Hold on. So if I click this, it's going to get the whole, okay, well, it's not doing the thing I'm trying to show you what I'm doing because the thing, that's why. This thing is really big to do the images. So here, I'll do it like this. But say this was my background and I clicked and would drag, the background is included now. So again, sometimes I lock things to be able to grab certain elements and move certain elements around and keep other ones in place. So that's the lock tool. The copy tool is super helpful. If I'm like, you know what, I like this thing, I want to have it again, I copy it. You can just click on whatever you want and copy it again. So you can use that. And then I want to get rid of it. There's the trash button. You can also just hit the delete button on your computer. You can't see me doing that, but that's what I'm doing. So you can just click and delete things. I want to say you can, any delete button will work. So if you want to get rid of things and you want to copy things, you can use those features. Want to say, where am I? Copy trash. Okay, so this is like kind of our main like walkthrough of these pieces. So now I'm going to go into a little bit more detail on some of the things. Right click options. Did I saw dotted lines? I don't know if did I forget about that piece? Okay, well, let's say I'll get it. I'll get there anyway, I promise. Okay, so here from text, so I was jumping now, if you noticed, if I'm on an image versus I'm on text-based stuff, you have different options and tools. So I just want to run through those really quick. So here, very basically, so I'm not going to harp on these things, but obviously here is where you can change your fonts. There is so many fonts on Canva, also very overwhelming, but there's fonts, you can search for them. So if you're looking for something in particular, super helpful. Here you change the size. Here you can change the color. You can make it bold, italic, underline. You can change that you want it all capitalized or not. This was, if you can only do that if it started off. See how this, do you see it? I don't know who did this, but whoever made this at Canva, this wasn't capital already. So do you see that this E just keeps jumping from capital to lowercase? So if I started here, let me, better example. So if I did this and I was like, I really want this capitalized, you don't have to retype it. You can just jump between capital and uncapital is all that does. Obviously your alignment, whether you want, and if you keep clicking this, you're going to get numbers versus dots on that. The thing that's it has to be kind of right aligned though to make that work, or else it's like way over there. So see what I mean? If I do this, now I'm justifying my words, but the number is over here. So the number is really only, the bullet pointed thing really only works well if you have it left aligned. I actually use this. This line spacing and letter spacing actually is a thing that I'm a little bit of a stickler for too. Again, my team would be like, yeah, she is, it's annoying. But again, so for me, from a design perspective, if I made these bigger, right? And I don't love that there's this big space in between these letters. To me, it doesn't look very clean. It doesn't look great. So the way you fix that is under line spacing. I would bring this up. But now the problem is I like this up like this for these big letters. I think these little letters look cramped. So again, not loving it. So what I would typically do now, right now, these are all one block. I usually will make a copy. I would delete and separate these elements. So the way I do that quickly is make a copy. I'm going to delete this piece. So now I have it, but it's separate. So now I can give it different parameters. So I like the spacing on here. This looks a little too cramped for me. And I like when there's a little bit of a gap. So I'm going to take this and give it a little more breathing room. And now it's better. And to me, this looks a lot nicer than where we started. So I play with that a lot. I also play, and this is more from like a visual design perspective. But I use, if we do, so a lot of times, and this is, I like this from a stylistic perspective, but say, this one actually, you can tell this, do you see how the letters are all spaced out kind of wide? In this feature, this letter spacing, it's like way zoomed in up. Like this is how it would normally be typed, but for extra style, they put extra spacing in these letters. And I do that quite a bit, just again, from more of a design element. This anchor text is another way of putting it at the top or bottom, is what this is having you do. So if you have like a bigger text box, you can do top or bottom on it. So that's what these guys do. This effect.
Where did you get that from?
All those things are under this. It says spacing if you hover over it, but it's got the 3 little
lines. Oh, they're
lines
labeled. Oh, lovely. Okay, thank you.
Yep. Mm-hmm. If you ever wonder, if you hover over them, they do try to make it intuitive. If you hover over any of these things and leave your mouse for a second, if you wiggle over it, it doesn't pick it up. But if you put your mouse there and leave it, it'll say list. It'll say spacing.
I use that feature in Microsoft Word all the time. The space, yeah. I don't see well. I hate how some of the text is really crunched together.
Really, really crunched. Yeah. And I don't think stylistically it always looks great, especially when you go from smaller text to bigger text and you stack the lines the way I was showing you. I don't love it.
And I know people who use Microsoft Word, you can actually do half a point.
Yeah. So. Yeah. You can mess with it. I mean, you can make it if you want to take these. I mean, from like a letter spacing perspective, you can like make it so they overlap, but like that doesn't look good. So don't do that. But then you can also stretch it out and give it kind of that stretched out style look. So it depends again on what you're going for. I love these effects. So none, I think they should be used sparingly. I think sometimes if you get too over the top with the effects, it gets a little too like clip arty, if anyone remembers clip art, and it looks less like polished and nice. It looks almost like old school and older, like you're using clip art on your PowerPoint. So again, sparingly I think is nice, but I like things like this back shadowing. I'm kind of a fan of. We use that sometimes for things, but again, if you want to back shadow everything, but you can do, obviously there's like, if you wanted it to be the neon look, you can change your colors and stuff. So you can mess around and do some things here. I think, again, some things look classy and nice. Some things really have to be, you have to be doing the right thing and promoting the right thing to have that look nice. This is new and I like this a lot, this curved. So they actually didn't have this before. And so this is a newer feature. If you take this little draggy guy, you can change how intense, draggy guy, the technical term for that. but you can change whether it goes up or down and how tightly curved it is. So I think that's a fun style thing that they actually recently added. And animate. So animate is where you can get some of your animations properly named. So if you want your thing to, your text to move, you want it to be more engaging, you can choose some of these options so that when you look at it, it gives you this fade in, fade out kind of a thing. A lot of these things you are required to have the paid version for as well. So just keep that in mind. So these things are an option, and I go more into video type of stuff in a little bit. How am I doing on time? Okay, we started. Oh, I'm not doing good on time at all.
Well, this is so much fun. You've got
actually. I'm glad I thought to check. Okay, so we're gonna go a little faster.
We should have a part 2.
Apparently, I'm sorry. I wasn't really realizing how intricate or how long this was gonna take. I was like, camera won't be that bad. Let me go into the things that I think are super really important then. So again, instead of going through every little feature, because a lot of these things you probably are familiar with. One thing that I think is really important, I remember from a layout perspective, I showed you that you can position left, right, or center, but you are able to, if you drag these, I'm hoping it might be hard to see on my screen, but it gives you a hard pink line when you're in the center. It does allow you also, if I want this to be down here, so let's make that text white so you can see it. If I want this to be down here, and maybe I want my Weatherby Media to be in the middle of that particular thing. So I'm gonna make this a little, so say we were a home staging company and I liked this little archway, it'll give you a little, so you see that pink line to align things to other pieces of the section. So keep track of the pink line for alignment and getting things really polished. If you click this file button, you can actually say show rulers, and it's going to give you some guidelines, which is also amazing and super helpful. And as you move, you see the gray bar. So you can make sure things are really polished that way, because you can line it up and it's going to tell you. There's a ruler.
Can you, how did you get to the ruler again?
Under file.
Okay.
So under here, you're under file, it says show rulers. You can say show guides, which is another option, show margins. And you'll get this little dotted guy. So it gives you that proper spacing. So you're not running your designs right to the corner. And then print bleeds. So if you're trying to do a print thing, it'll give you, hey, you really don't want things this close to the edge because that's your print bleed. So I find those tools to be supremely helpful. Grouping and ungrouping things is also supremely helpful. So maybe this is something that I want this visual. If I click this and I click this, and I have both of these highlighted, now they're moving as a unit. They're a unit for this moment, but as soon as I think I showed you this earlier, if I click off, they remove being a set. You can click this group button, and now they are operating as one thing. But then it's hard to kind of adjust. So maybe you want to ungroup it. So just if you group things, just depending on what you do from there, you might want to ungroup. That's a lot of those pieces. Let's talk about the downloading, the sharing. That was a lot of questions that people had. So if you click download here, PNG files we use if you need a transparent background. So say we did, I did whatever, this, and I want to download this on if I go PNG files, it says, do you want a transparent background? So say you want to do something where it's just your logo or something that you can have that transparent background for. If you click this, you're going to get that transparent background. PNGs are the only files you can do that with. So we do that for that reason. It's interesting because right now it's saying suggested use. Let me, because I have videos, it's saying suggested use. If I didn't, it does recommend high quality PNGs. I actually find on social media, those PNGs are always blurry. We always use the JPEG for social media. So if you're going to download for social media, I would always use the JPEG for that. The PDF files are obviously, if you're going to use a PDF, that's different. This vector file doesn't upload to a lot of social media platforms, so it might be helpful depending on what you're using it for. But truthfully, I think for what I would venture to guess most people are using, this isn't going to be something you use that often. I actually, when it comes, someone asks this for social media, I don't actually use the GIF feature. So say you want this to make this little animated move on social media, I do download it as an MP3, an MP4 file. I download it as a video file and use that. So for example, let's see, are we popping into Weatherby Media? Perfect. So if we just did, if under Weatherby Media, this image that we did, and with this little animation to say, hey, scroll over, here's your slide. We call these slide guides. But this little animated guy, we did this by downloading video files for these. So short video files would be my recommendation. Instead of the GIFs, because some social media platforms don't love the GIF format. So the video files just solve that problem. It does the same thing. Does that answer the video file downloading question? I know that was a specific question. Okay. Sharing files, there's a lot of pre-questions around that. So I wanted to share about that too, and make sure we got there. If you click this share button, there it says share a link. So there's basically 3 ways you can share things. 1 is share a version that someone else can edit. 2, share a template so that no one's going to ruin your original file, but you can share them a file to them for them to use on their own. And then the 3rd share option is just a view option. So I'll show you how to get all 3 of those. And those, obviously, you'll use them, each of them, for different reasons, depending how you want the other person to be able to interact with the file. If you want them to edit, share a link to edit. Oh, actually, they're all right here. Just kidding. There's other ways to get here, and I didn't even click that drop down arrow. So you can click edit, watch. It says watch or view. It probably would say view if it's not a video, and then use as a template. So you actually could get all those right here. So I lied. I was going to show you other places to get the same thing, but we all learned something new today. So you can get that link right here. Another thing that I think is very cool. So another thing people were talking about was presentations versus whatever. So the download file, all that stuff is here. Oh, if you wanted to, now I made multiple pages, but maybe I only want to download this last one. If you go click this drop-down menu, you can select which pages to download. So you don't have to download them all. You can be like, I just want page number 3 or whatever. And then if you're like, no, I really want them all, you just click all pages. So that's a little tidbit there. But this is your download. But if you're looking for different files, this 3 little dot gives you a lot of options about publishing. So somebody had asked about getting the presenter mode. So if I'm in my presentation here, because I started with a, if I wanted to build a presentation, I click design. I started with presentation. It defaults, assumes I'm trying to do a presentation. So here it defaults to, instead of download, it makes little, it has present here. But if I wanted to go present standard, I could click present and I could have the same concept with this. It's in the shape of an Instagram, but whatever, doesn't matter. And I can present this way, and it'll allow me to flip through all of these files that we've just been messing with. So I use that a lot. I also use, so I think this is fun. You can embed code here, which is interesting. I actually have never used that one before, but cool feature. Depending, you create a design and you want to embed it in your website, you could copy and paste this code, which is cool. But I like this. So website. So if you go to our Instagram, I don't know if anyone else, you know how you only can have one link on Instagram. So, and was a super popular solution to that, which was called Linktree. If anyone remembers or familiar with that, it was a service that allowed you to have one link that drove to a landing page, more or less, that had links to other places. We've started doing this, which I find to be way more fun. If you see, it says canva.com, and you can make a website out of any Canva presentation. So these you can click on, and that's where, to have these hyperlinks, this is an instance where if I go back here, this, I want to add a link. So say I want this text to hyperlink to our website. This is a good moment where I could just add the insert link here. And then if you're using the website option, it's a clickable version. So it brings you to, in this instance, our Kickstarter package. But I love this because you can make it way more fun and it's branded, and like Linktree was super ugly and you could only pick like 2 colors and it wasn't fun or on brand at all. And this, I mean, this particular design was actually more or less a template from Canva. But like any other Canva design, you can make this exactly how you want it. So your link could do whatever.
Can you go through how you set that up again? In other words, like I know the design, I know the template. When you went to Instagram and you clicked on that link, how is that generated? Is that a landing page that you set up, or is it coming from Canva?
Absolutely, great question. So I'm going to click this 3 dots. So say I want this to be my lovely website. I'm going to click this 3 dots. You can scroll for it and find it, but you can search for things. But if you just go, I want it to be a website. So if you forget, type website and there it is. And then publish your website style presentation. So it's actually going to click through these. I'm going to click open website here. And now this is the link. And this is the experience that someone would have if I drove them to this link. The only thing that I did do, if anyone's familiar, this is outside of Canva, but if you notice, this is a really ugly URL. I made a bit.ly out of it. So if you see it's bit.ly.Weatherby Media IG. So I just made a clean URL so that it didn't have something sloppy here when you're on our Instagram. But yeah, super cool. This was a random fun feature that I was like, hey, that's awesome. Let me real quick, I would love questions. Let me just real quick roll through if there's anything foundationally that I feel like, did I copy pages, add a page title? Did I mention that? So I feel like I probably did it. You probably saw me do it, but I don't think I really talked about it. You have all these options here. So if I want to duplicate this page, you just copy here. If I want to trash it, you just trash it here. If I want to add a new page, you can do that here, or at the bottom, it'll give you an add new page button. But if I want to add a new page in the middle of like a multi-image thing, we can click here. And then if I want to shuffle, move this image up or down, you can do that here. Down here, if you've ever seen this menu bar, there's a little caret here. And it actually, if you do it this way, it will line up your images so you can see them all. And you can drag and drop to reorder them. So again, depending on what you're trying to do, this may or may not be helpful for you. I find when you're getting too very granular on lining things up, like for instance, this actually, you'll see this is a faded out to create this like back look, this like dimensional look. We have an image here. I find sometimes I will zoom way in on things to get things lined up perfectly. So just if you're ever like, why is that jumping? It's making a big difference. Zoom in as much as you can, and then you can do really detailed work if you're really being very precise. You can also, if you click on this guy, see them bigger and also do the same drag and drop kind of move to get a bigger view to if you're doing a bigger presentation or changing layouts or something. And then if you want to see full screen presenter mode, that's what this guy does. So those are kind of those down there.
So Jamie, we do have a couple of specific requests, and I know people are starting to have to pop up.
Go. Yes.
Resizing might be a good one to show. And then also, Eliana, you're saying zoom size, but do you just mean like the zoom background? Is that what you're looking for? Or
yes. I think it's approximately 1 by 55% the height, but I'm wondering if they have an auto one, and then would I be able to type on the words, identifying things like you were doing, I would assume.
Sure. Yep. So first, I want to say the resize thing is a Canva Pro option. So if you were having a hard time with that, it's likely because you're in a free version and they don't make that nearly as easy. But if I want to resize this to be a Twitter image, all I do is resize. I click Twitter and I can either resize the exact file I'm currently using, or I can make a copy. And what it does is it opens a new window and it makes a copy in the Twitter set dimensions. And it does its best to like sort of match your design to the new file, but typically you have to kind of like rearrange things. The other thing, which is nice, so a lot of times we're like, okay, we built it on Instagram, but we need it to be Facebook and Pinterest. We need 2 different types of styles. You can go resize, and I can do, now if I go here, I can go search for Pinterest. So I want a Pinterest pin, and then I also want Facebook. So say these are my 2 Facebook posts, for example. I can copy and resize 2, and it'll jump 2 windows open, and it does them both at the same time. So that's another speed thing. And then if you go here, and I go create design, if you want to go zoom virtual background, it's going to give you the foundation and then funny zoom background with some, again, it's going to pop open the dimensions, but then it's going to give you some templates to play with as well. Are there other specific questions?
But I could just drop my photos in because that's
Of
what.
course. Yeah. Yep, under upload, if you want to just, yep, this is clearly a photo we uploaded for a client. Oh, well, now it's gonna, put it in the background. See
Cool,
going on here. Well, you know what I mean. But now if I want to, right, I'm like, oh God, that's terrible. You can lock that background. Now I'm gonna highlight all these things, and I'm just gonna go delete, and now I'm good. And then I'm gonna unlock it again for quick things, and now we're better. Any other specific questions? I feel like there is, like, Canva is a rabbit hole. I did painter again, zooming in and out, title changes, all that stuff is super important. What are these?
Well,
okay,
another stupid
videos.
question is how does my photo get in there? Is there a place when I hit upload where it's going to ask me to go through my files?
Yep, so if you go upload here, if you upload, you can click upload media. You can drag and drop into here is fine. So if you want to go that way, you can do that. Or you can click upload media, and it'll say from device if it's on your computer. And now it's going to bring me into my files. And then I can click, I want this. This is the thing I'm trying to upload. Oops. And now it's going to pop in here. I think that's the important stuff. I want to say we did good. I know.
Yeah, I think this was amazing.
Okay, I hope that was helpful.
So I'm going to throw in the chat just a couple of more links. So there's still one more GRDC Ask the Pro next week on digital media. Sorry, digital marketing. So go and check that out as well. Here is Jamie's website. If you want to talk to her more, she's obviously very lovely and incredibly knowledgeable about all of this stuff. And then lastly, GRDC's email. So if you want to talk to me about anything in particular, we will send out an email next week with a link to this video so you all can reference it. And yeah, shoot us questions, anything like that. I really appreciate everybody showing up today. This was wonderful. And Jamie, of course, thank you